Hello students, welcome you all. So in today's topic we are going to start our second topic. Before that we have done our first topic, that is characteristics of life of chapter the living world. So here we will start the second topic, that is diversity in the living world. Diversity means different forms of life. Biodiversity, bio means life, diversity means diverse form. So in this world we are going to see about the different form of life in our earth. In these things, some are flora, some are fauna and some are microorganisms. All they come under the life forms. Second point is that the total number of species in our earth 1.7 to 1.8 million. This data is very important. So here among the plant and animal species, again we have divided. So animal species consist of 1.25 million, see the data, so much, and plant species only 0.55 million. Again if you will go in the deep of the animal species, so you will find that which phylum is the largest phylum? Arthropoda, yes. So in Arthropoda, again if you will see the class Insecta, it consists of more and more species here. So animal species consist of larger number of species there. Then another point is that now we have so many diverse, we have so many species, see millions of species are there. So can you study each and every individual? No, it will be impossible for you. So that's why we want some different science which will deal with these types of processes by which we can study the whole species. And what are these sciences? Taxonomy is one of the science in which we are going to study the number of species. But here what we are doing, we are using some rules, we are using some characteristics, by the work will be reduced here. Clear this thing? Now the next point is term biodiversity. So this biodiversity is a term coined by W.G. Rosen in 1985. Alright, so there are different steps by which we can study about these diverse form of life. For example, in your garden if you will see there are number of species, this is a small area. As we are increasing the area, the number of species will also get increase. So we can say more the area, more the number of species. Clear? So for that one, what is required? We required some identification. What is the meaning of identification? That you can identify on the basis of the characteristics, on the basis of similarities and dissimilarities. What we are going to study, what we are going to do, we are identifying the organism, and after that what we are doing, we are giving names to them. So here one by one we are going to start what are the different steps. There is one example, if you will see that in your school, or there are different types of there are different students. Okay, so what they are doing in your school, they have given some classification, they have categorized into different section, and how on the basis of their age, that how much age they are having, and on this basis we have given them different classes. Clear? So here also on the basis of their identification, first we have to identify the organism, whether it is flower, whether it is an animal, or whether what. So what we are doing, on the basis of our morphological characters, we are comparing the characters and we are identifying them, then we are giving some names to them. So first topic which we are going to start, that is nomenclature. So what is the meaning of nomenclature? Assigning name. So nomenclature means giving name to something. So what we are doing here, assigning the name. So whenever we are talking about the giving names, it can be of two types: common name and scientific name. As you all are having that nickname and school name. So nickname is the name which we are using at home, and the school name which we are using at school. So here also two types of names are there: common names, which is known as vernacular name, and the second one is scientific name. So the name itself indicates about the first one, that is common name. In common name, what happens? The language which we are speaking in a particular region or in particular language. So on the basis of thing, we have given names to them. Clear? So if we are giving names according to our particular area, there may be some advantages also. So what are these advantages? So these are easy to pronounce, we can pronounce it very easily. And another advantage is that these are based on the particular character. For example, if you will see the name Chidiya, we are saying Chidiya or sparrow. So how the name we have given on the basis of their sound, that is chirping sound. And you can see different plants are there. For example, Calotropis. So if you will see the Calotropis plant, you can see there is some secretion of milky latex. So it is type of milk, or we can say doodh. So that's why they have given the name Dodak. So this name coming from where? From assuming the characteristics on the morphological basis, and we are giving names by this method, common naming. Clear? But there is some disadvantages also. Why? Because we are giving names to those individuals which is important for us, or we can say which are significant for us. So, and as well as the microorganisms in this world, some microorganisms are also there. So what about them? Can we assign the name to them? So common people are not giving names to them. So this is the disadvantage of the common naming, that they are not giving name to the microscopic organism, as well as for the non-significant, those things which are not significant for the common people, they are not giving name to them. This is the first disadvantage. Second disadvantage is that bird goraiya. I have mentioned a bird goraiya. As we know that in this world, we are living in a different countries, and we are calling the name of each thing by different names. For example, in India, if you compare in India only, so in North India you are calling from another name, in South India the same thing you are calling from another name. So if you compare in the global world, you can see in India you are using bird goraiya, in England they are saying house sparrow, in Spain they are calling podal, but the name is same. They are taking names by another name. So we can say this is the disadvantages. That's why what is the need of this nomenclature? What is the need of this nomenclature? To giving name. But when we are talking about the scientific level, when all the scientists come at one place and they will discuss about a same topic, so they are not able to understand, they will not be able to communicate with each other. Why? Because there is no uniqueness, there is no uniformity, because we are calling with the other name and they are calling with the other name, so they will not conclude at a same point. So for that one, it is required that we have to use another method, which will be the scientific method, which is the globally accepted method. For that one, we are having another method of assigning name, that is scientific naming. Okay, that one is scientific naming. So that's why we are going for the another method. Now in continuation of disadvantages, another one disadvantage is that what? Misleading. Some of the things which we are giving names on the basis of morphological character, but sometimes they will become misleading for us. For example, cuttlefish, jellyfish, starfish, name which you have given to all these three, fish, but if you will see the character, if you will see the most important character about them, so they will not come under the fish, they will not fulfill the criteria of having the fishes. But on the basis of their morphological character, the common people have given name these types of names. Clear? So this one is another disadvantages. Another disadvantage is that different names in different state. As I have said to you that in India itself, we are having different names of same thing. For example, China rose, in English you are saying China rose, in Hindi you are saying Gudhal, and in Bengali they are saying Japes. So these are different names and they have no proper scientific basis. In scientific naming, we are using the scientific method, but here there is no particular scientific basis, only on the basis of morphological character they have given some names. Clear? So now we will start with the another naming, scientific naming. This naming is the proper one. This one is the accurate form, we can say that. So each organism has only one name. There are no biasness between them, that what we are saying here and what we are saying into the another country. When scientists come at the same place, they are able to communicate with each other very easily. So this is the advantages of the scientific naming. Now this scientific naming is again can be classified into two types. What are they? Binomial nomenclature and trinomial nomenclature. So here bi means two, nominal means name, nomenclature means a system. In system, what we are doing? System of classification, we are naming them. In this, we are giving names on the basis of two components. And in case of trinomial, name itself, tri means three. There are three components for naming any organism or naming any species here. So let's start with the first one, binomial nomenclature. So this by first point about it, the binomial nomenclature proposed by the Carolus Linnaeus, very important from the examination point of view. Who has proposed the binomial nomenclature? Carolus Linnaeus. So how they have classified? What are the standard books, from where they have taken the reference. So they have taken reference from the different books, and the books they have given here: Species Plantarum and Systema Naturae. The name, the date mentioned here, 1753. Species Plantarum published in 1753 and Systema Naturae published in 1756. So what are these books? The Species Plantarum related to the plant species. In this book, everything written about the plant, the classification written about the plant. In the Systema Naturae, in this book, all detail written about the animals. So different books are there, as we know that two major fields are there of biology, zoology and botany, for plants as well as for animals. The next point then, binomial nomenclature. So two components are there. What are these two components? Generic name and specific epithet. What are they? Generic name and specific epithet. So what are these things? Generic name, as we will provide the name, as we are assigning the name to any species, so we are giving a name on the basis of their two components. First one is generic name and second one is specific epithet. And in another language, another name you can say genera. I think you might have studied about the genera and species. Clear? So in further we will study more about it. Now, what are the organization which are dealing with these nomenclature? See, in your cases, you are also getting name. As you are taking births, you are getting your name. So here also some plants and some animals getting their names. So what are these organization? So first one is ICBN, which is very, very important, International Code of Botanical Nomenclature, and second one is International Code of Zoological Nomenclature. So what is the difference between these two? Botanical means something related to plant and zoological related to animals. When we are going to giving names of the plant species, so who is responsible for that? ICBN, International Code of Botanical Nomenclature. And when we are giving or assigning the names to the animal species, so who are responsible? Zoological Nomenclature, or International Code of Zoological Nomenclature. All right. So as we are saying that we are assigning the name, so there may be some rules and regulation on the basis of which we are giving name. So we have to follow that one. So next one is rules of binomial nomenclature. So what are the rules? The first one is in Latin language. So we are giving names to the species in which language? In Latin language. Why we are giving name in Latin language? Because Latin is a dead language. Now what is the meaning of dead language? It means that now there will be no changes in this language. Whatever the changes has made, they will be constant, or they are stable. We are not going to change in this language anymore. Clear? So the first rule is that the name which we are assigning, it should be in the Latin language. And the second one is that there must be two components. Whenever we are giving or assigning names to the species, it should be in the two components. What are these two components? Genus and species. as we have mentioned that the first one is generic name. Generic name is also known as genus, and the specific epithet is also known as species here. Clear this thing? There are some rules how we have to write it, how we have to write it or mention in a proper document. So the genus should always begin with the capital letter. How? This genus must be begin with the capital letter, and the species begins with the small letter. All right. And what are the different formats? If we are writing this names, if we are writing these names of these different types of species, it should be in a proper format when we are printing them. If you will see in your books, so they are in that printing format. So in printing format, it must be italic form. How? It should be in a italic form. Have you seen that italic form? Something like slanting like format you can see. And second thing, whenever you are writing those names with your hand or the handwritten format, it should be that there must be a separate line. Example, I have written here Mangifera indica. So Mangifera indica is the scientific name of what? Mango. The scientific name of mango is Mangifera indica. So the first component, this first component denotes what? It's a genus, and the second component denotes what? It's a species. There's this thing. And what was the rule? The genus name must begin with the capital letter. So that's why this M is in capital letter. And what is the second rule here? The species names must begin with the small letter. So if you will see the species first letter, so it will be in a small case. Clear this thing? And here I have written, so you can see that I have underlined both the genus and species separately. You cannot underline both the components in a same manner. What we have to do? We have to underline a separate form. So these are some rules on these basis we are going to giving names, or we are assigning the names to our species. Third one is trinomial nomenclature. So if you will see some more names, or some more species, you can see that the scientific name consists of 3 components. What are these things? Then you will think that we have done only binomial nomenclature. So how can we understand what is these things? Brassica oleracea capitata, Brassica oleracea botrytis. What is it? So it comes under the trinomial nomenclature. Tri means 3 components. Now we are having 3 components. Genus, species are the common one. Along with this, we have added the subspecies also. Subspecies or we can say variety, both are the same thing, but in case of animals we are using the term subspecies, and in case of plants we are using variety. Alright. So we are having 3 components here, and how we are writing? Brassica oleracea variety capitata, because both are what? Both are plant species. Cabbage also comes under the plant kingdom, and cauliflower also come under the plant kingdom. So we are using that which term? Variety here. So now Brassica oleracea variety capitata, what is it? It is the scientific name of cabbage, and another one is the Brassica oleracea variety botrytis. It is a scientific name of cauliflower. So here we have to understand that 3 components are there in trinomial nomenclature. So there are so many examples. It's your assignment that you will collect more and more names, or you can collect more and more examples of binomial nomenclature as well as trinomial nomenclature. All right. So you will write it, and then we will discuss about it. Next one is important terms. Along with these binomial, trinomial nomenclature, we are having some important terms. For example, toponyms. What is the meaning of toponyms? As I have said that in binomial nomenclature we are having 2 components, generic name and specific name. Clear? So if you will see that some of the species having different name, for example Katla fish. If you will see the scientific name of Katla fish is Katla catla. What you are observing here? The genus and species name are the same, Katla catla. If you will see the scientific name of rat, Rattus rattus, both are the same word, but here that's why we have given the different term pseudonyms. What is the meaning of pseudonyms? That generic name as well as specific epithet name, or genera or specific name are the same in case of pseudonyms. So these are the example of pseudonyms. Now another one is autonyms. Autonyms means that in trinomial nomenclature we have discussed that there are three components. What are they? Genera, species and subspecies. So genera is different one, but the species and subspecies, why I am saying subspecies here? Because as we are talking about the animal, we will use subspecies. When we are talking about the plants, we will use variety. For example, the scientific name of crow is Corvus splendens. What you are observing here, this denotes genus, this one denotes species, and this one will denote what? Subspecies. So whenever we are talking about this type of name, so we can classify under the autonyms. These are the example of autonyms, that species as well as subspecies name are the same. Alright. So third term is homonyms. Homonyms is what? For example, sometimes what we are doing, we are giving same name. What we are giving? Same name for the different types of taxon, or for different types of we can say different types of plant. For example, in case of almond as well as plum, we are using the Prunus species. In the both cases, what we are saying, Prunus species or Prunus dulcis. We can give this different names, but on the basis of same scientific name. So we can, in general way, we can say same spelling, but name is different. Spelling is same for the almond as well as for the plum. Then fourth one is synonyms. Synonyms means spelling is different one, but the name is same. Example, you can see the fungi. Fungi, you can call this fungi by different names. Albugo candida, Cystopus candida, Urido candida, all these are different types of fungi. But here what we have done, mostly we are using the word Albugo candida. Is it fine? We are using Albugo candida. So this name is a valid name of the fungi, as well as we are using another name. For example, synonyms in English also. In English grammar, you are using synonyms. What are the meaning of synonyms? Another name of this particular word. So word is Albugo candida, and synonym are what? These are the synonyms of this Albugo candida, because we are using different names of this same type of fungi. Is it fine? So I think that's all for today. So we are winding up here for thank you.